What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be going into what I think is the best Ottoman Feudal Rush build order. I already have a guide from about 2 months ago now that did pretty well about just the Ottomans in general that goes into a couple different build orders, including Fast Castle and Two Town Center and and then the Feudal Rush, obviously. Um, I think that the Feudal Rush is the strongest build for Ottomans. If you were going to do one build every game, this is the build you should do. Last season I did hit Conqueror, just doing a Feudal Rush build every single game. But this season I've been mixing it up more, and like was in the old video, I've been, the video from a couple months ago, I've been doing some Castle Rush. I've been doing Two Town Center occasionally, but more often than not, I do a Feudal aggression build. Um, this build is going to be super good against Delhi, Abbasid, Malians, and to be honest, against English and HRE. I usually play more reflexive and respond to how they're playing. So um, those are civs I might do a fast castle against, or I might do feudal units if they're doing feudal units to match them. But yeah, this build will still work against any civ. I mean, you can do this literally every single game, and if you're attacking in the right places and doing damage, yeah, you can do this every game and get to conquer one pretty easily. So um, this is a little bit different from the feudal build that's in the video from 2 months ago. So you're going to be going for an early military school. Right off the bat, 5 villagers go to the stone. One villager builds a house and then goes to the sheep. New villagers are spawning onto sheep. At this point, I normally hotkey the scout to 1, hotkey the villagers here to 2, because I want to have precise control over them for the next minute or two, and then I'll put the town center on 4. And I'll change this view at the top so you can see how many villagers I have on each resource. So all my new villagers are going to sheep. These villagers, after they turn in the first drop off of stone, immediately go to a straggler tree here, and then you want to build your military school with the food villager, and you can shift queue them to go back onto the food. So you want to build your military school in a place where you have space for a blacksmith and to build all your production around it. You see I have lots of space here, that's why I build it here. Typically, I'd like to build my feudal landmark, the berry landmark, right here. There's not enough space this game, and this is where my wood line is, so I end up having to build it here. But yeah, just so you know, I typically like to build it here, because your berries end up right next to the TC that way, so they're very safe. So after we do 2 drop-offs of wood and we get to 100 wood, these villagers will move to the food. And we're going to be going up to 10 villagers on food. And your scout should do like a safe pattern and just go to the middle and either, to this edge or to this edge, and then loop back around to your base because you want to get some sheep home. And once you have 10 on food, we're going to be queuing villagers to the gold. So. We're going to go up to 3 villagers on gold here. And once we drop off some sheep, we're going to go ahead and send our scout forward. And you can look for sheep along the way, but you want to find a good place to attack with your spearmen. You want to do damage with your spearmen right away. That is the whole point of the early military school build. So you don't want to go early military school build and then just sit the spearmen in your base. You definitely want to try and do something with them, right? And delay your opponent. And just so you guys are aware, I've set my military school to a permanent hotkey. It's something I'd recommend maybe doing if you want to, or you can just hotkey it yourself every game to a number. For me, I permanently set mine to 6, so I don't even have to hotkey it in the game. I just press 6, and that's going to control my military school. And this is an AI, so don't pay too much attention to what it's doing. It's doing great things. Because this was just to show you guys the build. So we got our 3 on gold, by the way, and now we're going on to the wood. And it's important not to lose your spearmen, the first spearmen. You don't want, like, if it's attacking a villager here, right? And your opponent retreats all the villagers to the town center and garrisons, that spearman will die right away if you're not paying attention. So you really want to be focused on microing your spearmen and doing the build efficiently at the same time. And I think it's good to practice that against an AI so you can get that down. I mean, it really is good. If you're having a hard time with that, if you're losing your spearmen or you're not doing any damage with your spearmen in real matches because you have a hard time microing and doing the build at the same time, then what that means is you just need to practice the build more and more and practice switching between your army and your home base more and more really quickly, which you can do by double tapping 1 and 4. And I end up hotkeying the spears to 2 instead of the villagers at this point. So yeah, when you double tap, it switches. But you just need to get used to switching back and forth and microing the spearmen, because if you lose it, or if you're not doing anything with it, it's waste. It's a complete waste. And as soon as we have the food here, we're going to build our landmark. So I end up building it right here. And we're going to put 4 villagers on this. We're going to take 2 villagers from food and put them on the wood. Or, actually, I take 3 villagers from food and put them on the wood, excuse me. And then we're going to queue a few new villagers to food. And that is because we have to get this house. So you can see I'm 20 out of 20 right now, and I don't have the wood for a house. And so that's why I pulled those villagers to wood. And now I'm rushing the house with 4, and I won't get housed. 2 seconds, 1 second, bam, the house builds. It's very tight, guys. This is it's very tight, and if you saw my last feudal build order, it was also very tight with the house. This is just kind of how it is if you want to go for the early military school, and you know, if you keep your spearmen alive, you might run into that, that problem where you're just barely getting the house in time. It's not a big deal if you get housed for a second in this situation. Like, it's more important to keep your spearmen alive and push them off the gold or something like that. Now that we have 6 on wood, so right now our numbers are 5 on food, 6 on wood, 3 on gold, 4 building the landmark. We're going to put 2 on the stone so we can start mining for more military schools. So I queued 1 to stone already, queued a 2nd to stone. Now we're going to go back onto the wood for a minute. And that's because we're going to mostly be producing archers. And yeah, so you may have noticed in the old build, one of the big differences here was that I always pulled these villagers from gold. And in this build, we're leaving villagers on gold. That's because we're going to be going for wheelbarrow and double broadaxe very, very early. And we're never going to pull these villagers off gold. We're just going to keep them there so we can get our blacksmith upgrades. And you don't need to add more villagers to gold either until you want to go to Castle Age. So yeah, you just leave these 3 villagers on gold the whole time, nice and easy. And with these stone villagers, you only want to mine an additional 200 stones so you can get 2 more military schools. You don't want to go past that, but I will end up, even in this guide, I end up going a little bit past it. It's okay if you get 50 extra stone, guys. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Because I've hit Conqueror without being perfect in these builds. And when you see me play live, you're going to see me make more mistakes probably than I do in this. Because this was just like, playing against an AI, trying to execute the build perfectly. In a real game, you're going to make minor mistakes. Your stable might be a little bit late. Your archery range might be a little bit late. So let's talk about what we're doing right now. I now have 7 villagers on wood. I'm still queuing to wood. We got the 2 on stone, 3 on gold. Make sure you get your 4 villagers who build the landmark. Make sure that you micro them so that they stay on the berries on the landmark and don't go back to the sheep, because you get an extra gathering rate on this landmark. That is the point of it. I've already got my wheelbarrow in queue. I could be queuing the double broadaxe, but I missed that for a little bit here, just, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. But that's okay. You just want to get it really early in Feudal, as early as possible. And we're building a stable as our first military building. That's because most people are going to respond to the spears with archers. And you want to get a Sipahi down there as early as possible. And you want to switch this to Sipahi as well, which I do in a second after the 4th spearman comes out. But next we're going to drop an archery range. And we're just queuing all new villagers to wood right now. I mean, I'm just doing, like, you can't expect to get as much damage against a real person every time as you could get against the AI, but yeah, you just want to keep looking for exposed places where you can be doing damage with your early units. When your opponent gets that first archer out, then you can back the spearman up until your Sipahi get there. As soon as this is done, I'm queuing Sipahi out of it, and at the 6-minute mark, I'm dropping my archery range here. And yeah, like I said, I should have had this double broadaxe a little bit earlier, but I know it's going to be coming in any second now. And the first Vizier point came through, and I went for the Metter. The Metter Vizier point is important to get. You can just get a Metter from a stable, but the Vizier point is important because it gives you an extra speed boost that you will not get unless you get the Vizier point. So it's important to get that with the Vizier point. That speed boost is really, really useful in retreating your army and moving your army around and making it so that your army doesn't, like, get caught by an opposing force. So you could split into smaller groups with the Metter to go around and raid, and they'll be moving a lot faster, and they can run away if a bigger force challenges them. So now we've got 2 archery ranges down. I'm dropping the blacksmith, and I'm about to drop military schools as well. And you want to be producing out of these, like, as soon as possible, which I will be in a second, but just start producing out of all your military buildings. Get your military schools on Sipahi. And we're going for a big, massive archer all in here. And my archery ranges are finally producing. Feels like a lifetime when you're, like, watching, but, you know, yeah. That's the difference between me and a pro player, right? You know, Beastie Cutie probably would have had those producing right away, but, there's lots of differences. It's not just that. But, anyways. At this point, I'm just walking this army around looking for anywhere to do damage, right? Like, they're mining gold out here. Once again, this is an AI, but your real opponents might do stuff like this as well. They might go to a different gold if they feel like they can't get this gold. So just being aware of that and going out to find those villagers is really important. And you can get a second army here as well. You can notice, like, he pushes out with the spears here to catch these Sipahi, so I just pull them back because I have archers on the way. And I catch this gold out here. But I mean, once again, this is just an AI, so super easy stuff. I'm making archers, I'm making Sipahi when I have the food. I realize I need a little bit more food. I went up to 11 on food a minute ago. We're now at 17 on wood. Still the 3 on gold, and I pulled the stone villagers when I had enough stone for my 2nd and 3rd military school. You can't actually get the 2nd and 3rd military school just yet, or the 3rd military school just yet, until you get the Vizier point that allows you to. You do want to switch this to Sipahi, which I know I get it switched in a minute. And at this point, we're going to be going for a 3rd archery range, and we're getting blacksmith upgrades. So the first blacksmith upgrade I generally get is the steeled arrow, and then we'll be going for the iron undermesh, and then siege engineering. Now, if you're playing against Abbasid, or a civilization that expands with a 2nd town center, you can go for the siege engineering as, like, your 2nd upgrade, but a lot of the times you still won't have enough wood to actually make the rams, so I normally just go for it as the third upgrade. I'll get these two and then siege engineering. By the time the siege engineering comes in, you're going to have 20 or more villagers on wood here, and you will be able to pump out rams while also still building archers. So yeah, I pushed him off this gold out here. I'm just walking around with your units. You always want to be trying to do damage with your units, right? That is the point of building military. That is the point of a feudal aggression build. You need to be doing damage with your units. Guys, if you're just massing, like, if you watch this build order guide and all you take away from it is the villager numbers, okay, I need 11 on food, and I need 19 on wood, and I need 3 on gold, but you're just massing your units right here, and you don't know what's going on in your opponent's base, and then you just go for one big push, it's not going to go how you expect it to. If you are in your opponent's face doing damage, it's going to go way, way better for you, and you'll, be aware of what your opponent's trying to do. So, yeah, at this point, we're dropping a third archery range at the 9-minute mark, 9 minutes 15 seconds. I'm getting my third archery range down. You don't need that until like you're starting to have archers stack up in queue and you realize, okay, I could use a third archery range now. And I'm trying to constantly produce from the stable as well. Blacksmith's iron undermesh, and then the next thing coming in will be siege engineering. You can see we're spending all our resources right now pretty well. Everything's less than 200. The stone is saved for another military school. And that's just really important, is to be constantly spending all your resources and getting it on the field and using it. So yeah, I don't have to do a lot of work here because it's an AI. So obviously this isn't like the best example of like how someone might respond to this, but I have lots of games on YouTube where I use this build, or on Twitch VODs, so check those out if you want to see the build like in action against a real person. But yeah, this is obviously just about going through the build. So at this point, I'm getting siege engineering. I'm also gonna drop one barracks because I still have spearmen on the field that I can get an upgrade for once I have the barracks down. And also, generally, opponents might respond to the archer mass with some horsemen. You can still go for the archer mass when they're massing horsemen, but it's good to build some spears as well, and that will really change the tide of the fight. If you don't build some spears and get the spear upgrade, and your opponent gets a massive 20-25 horsemen against your archer mass, you could be in for, a nasty surprise. So at this point, siege engineering is about to come through, and we have 20 villagers on wood, 11 on food, and 3 on gold still. And my new villagers are going to food at this point. I want to get up to like 15 on food. I actually have 22 villagers on wood, and I wouldn't go much higher than that. But that is a really good place for you to be constantly producing archers and making rams. And at this point, you can start spending your gold that you get on getting other upgrades, like economic upgrades. So you see I went ahead and got forestry. I might go for horticulture, whatever else, if I'm in an extended feudal age. All the upgrades are good. They're cheap. They're good to have in a long game. The earlier you get them, the better. So you might as well grab them. And from here, that's about it. You can build rams and push into your opponent's base and end the game. Now, I'm going to speed it up a little bit and talk to you guys about how to transition to castle and what situations I might do that in. So, like I said, you can do this build against every civ and get to Conqueror, and that's fine. But there's certain civs you might not want to build rams against. So it might be better to just do heavy damage in Feudal and push them off of gold, push them off of resources, and then not build the rams. Those civs would be HRE and English. HRE has an auto repair feature that can be really annoying, so they can repair their buildings without sending villagers to repair them. And this is quite strong against like a ram push. It's not nearly as strong against like a tread push in Castle Age. So, also against English, their town centers fire tons and tons of arrows and do tons of damage. It's not fun to push into English town centers in Feudal Age at all. it's another civ you might be better off getting a Treb against. So what you can do instead of building rams is just keep circling the base and try to push them off of gold, keep them off of gold, and then macro to castle yourself. So from this situation, I'm going to build a few rams and then um, push into the base, and then I'll also show you how, like, if I decide to transition to castle, how I would do that. And yeah, this is just against an AI, so the push itself isn't very interesting. I just want to show you guys the point where I decide, okay, this is how I'm transitioning to castle. So I just want to fast forward through this a little bit. Okay, so this is where I decide to transition to castle. Just because I wanted to show you guys how I would do it. So, you have tons of villagers on wood, you just need to pull them mostly to food. I'm going to pull a bunch of villagers off of wood, and go out here, build a tower to protect, and go onto the deer. And, yeah, I just pulled 14 villagers off of wood. Or, no, some of these actually came off of food. I'm sorry, they came from running out of food under the town center. But I'm going all the way down to 10 villagers on wood here. And everything else will go on wood, food and gold. Because that's what you need. I'm queuing new villagers to gold right now. And that's as easy as it is, guys. Like, you need food and gold to get to castle. So when you feel like you have enough units to just keep your opponent, like, keep pressuring your opponent, and you want to transition to castle, that's it. You just pull your villagers to food and gold. Now, it seems like I'm maybe simplifying it, but that's really all you do. And I'm on 15 food wood right now, 15 villagers on wood, but I know I go down to 10. Like, I'm pulling 5 more. There it is. I pull 5 more to go out to these berries here. And we're just going to macro to castle. And we're going to use all this extra wood we have to have production ready for when we hit castle. And pull my army back here. So let's pretend like, you know, maybe you didn't do as much damage and you decide, okay, I want to keep my army alive and end the game in castle. You just pull your army back. Go for castle. You want to use your food villagers to build the castle age landmark. This is important because you want to have a bunch of gold as you hit castle so you can upgrade your units, so you can build whatever they're called, imams from a monastery and go for relics. And yeah, I'm spending my extra wood on just walling in my base, making it safe, because he's not going to push me right now, right? Like, if you've done a bunch of damage with your army, obviously not this much damage. If you've done this much damage, the game is just over. But this is an AI. If you've done a bunch of damage with your army and you pull back, your opponent's probably not going to push you with more than maybe a couple horsemen to raid. This is a great time to wall up your base, make it safe, spend all your wood. So I spend all my wood on these walls and some stables so I can go for knights as soon as I hit castle. And I was just going to speed this up. As soon as you hit castle, you just want to immediately get the upgrades going. So the first upgrade I'm going to get going is for my archers, the veteran archers. I'm making knights to throw into the mix here. I'm queuing this forward, so I'll have a mangonel quite soon. And building the monastery so I can go for relics. And that's really it, guys. Like, that's just how I just wanted to show you guys, like, okay, I did the push, the rams died, I didn't fully kill my opponent, what do I do from here? This is what you do. You go to castle and you use your advantage to extend your lead. You grab all the relics, you take the sacred sites, you push again with upgraded units, and you can, if you're keeping your opponent off of gold, they won't be able to get to castle and take advantage of it nearly as fast as you are. So that's going to be it for this feudal build order guide. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the if you have any questions, drop them in the comments is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Oh, the only other thing I would say is if you're playing against French or Rus and they're building lots of knights, which they most likely are, but sometimes Rus might not go for knights. They might just go for archers and spears or something. But You can respond to knights just by substituting your don't build the stable as your first building, build the barracks as your first building. And you're going to need a few more villagers on food earlier, so instead of, you go up to maybe 10 or 12 or 15 on food a little bit earlier, because you're going to be making horsemen and spearmen instead of an archer ball. Um, yeah, because you obviously you want to go for horseman spearmen against a knight archer comp. But eventually you can work in the archers as well and go for you know, all the different types of units. But it's not quite the same as this build. But yeah, you still do like the same basic principles as this build. You just go for more spearmen and horsemen, which requires a little more food a little bit earlier. But yeah, that would be the only thing you need to change. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about the Feudal Rush build order or any other questions about the Ottoman civilization in general. Um, I don't think I mentioned, but I eventually, I dropped more military schools with my... That was the Vizier point I went for, was the more military schools in Feudal. And if you're playing in an extended Feudal and you're just continuing to make units and fight with your opponent, you can go for the imams as well. And that will benefit you as soon as you get castle, and you'll have the AoE healing. It's important to keep the imams in your meta alive. I'm just throwing in as many things as I can think of before I end the video. It's important to keep your meta alive, your imams alive, that kind of thing. One way I'll keep I don't like... I put the metas on the same control group as my archers, and then I'll manually click on the meta and just pull them to the back so that they don't get sniped. But yeah, and you can make like an extra meta as well for safety, as I did in this game. I just made one extra meta. That way, if I lose one, hopefully I still have another one. But yeah, try not to lose your metas. But yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Um, and yeah, most people who watch my videos are not subscribed. Um, I would really appreciate it if you like the video. Just hit that subscribe button and check out some of my other videos and check out maybe this build in action, because I have lots of games where I use this build on the ladder. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, YouTube.